onto, into, onto, existing, the, onto, knowledge, the, structures, information, the, storage, refers, to, refers, holding, to, refers, holding, to, on.
Make your browser fast. Make your browser safe. Make your browser Chrome. Make your browser fast. Choose Google Chrome for your computer. Make your browser safe. Make your browser Chrome. Make your browser fast. Choose Google Chrome for your computer. Make your browser safe. Make your browser Chrome. Make your browser fast. Choose Google Chrome for your computer. Make your browser safe. Make your browser Chrome. Make your browser fast. Choose Google Chrome for your computer. Make your browser safe. Make your browser Chrome. Make your browser fast. Choose Google Chrome for your computer. Make your browser safe. Make your browser Chrome. Make your browser fast. Choose Google Chrome for your computer. Make your browser safe. Make your browser Chrome. Make your browser fast.
onto,
Choose Google Chrome for your computer. Make your browser safe.
into,
Make your browser Chrome. Make your
onto,
browser
onto,
Choose Google Chrome for your computer.
existing,
Make your browser safe.
the, into,
Make your browser Chrome.
onto, knowledge,
Choose Google Chrome for your computer.
existing,
Make your browser safe.
the, into,
Make your browser Chrome.
structures, information, knowledge,
Choose Google Chrome for your computer.
existing,
Make
storage,
your browser
structures, information, knowledge,
Choose Google Chrome for your
refers,
Make
storage,
your browser
structures, information, to,
Choose Google Chrome.
refers, storage, holding, information, to, refers, storage, holding, information, onto, 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 refers, storage, reflecting, on, reflecting, the, on, reflecting, concept, the, on, of, reflecting, concept, the, change, on, of, reflecting, concept, and, the, change, on, of, its, reflecting, concept, and, the, change, impact, on, of, its, reflecting, concept, and, on, the, change, impact, on, of, its, human, concept, and, on, the, change, impact, behavior, its, human, concept, and, on, the, can, impact, behavior, its, human, concept, lead, on, the, can, impact, behavior, to, human, concept, lead, on, the, can, insights, behavior, to, human, concept, lead, about, can, insights, behavior, to, adaptability, lead, about, can, insights, behavior, change, to, adaptability, lead, about, can, insights, behavior, change, to, adaptability, lead, often, about, can, insights, behavior, change, to, seen, adaptability, lead, often, about, can, insight, as, behavior, change, seen, adaptability, lead, often, about, can, insight, as, behavior, change, seen, catalyst, often, about, can, insight, as, that, change, seen, catalyst, often, about, forces, as, that, change, seen, catalyst, individuals, forces, as, that, or, individuals, forces, systems, or, individuals, two, forces, systems, or, modify, individuals, two, forces, systems, there, or, modify, individuals, two, routine, systems, there, or, modify, or, two, routine, systems, there, approach, modify, or, two, routine, the, systems, there, approach, modify, or, nature, two, routine, the, systems, there, approach, of, modify, or, nature, two, routine, the, this, there, approach, of, modify, or, nature, modification, the, this, there, approach, of, modify, can, nature, modification, the, this, there, be, approach, of, modify, can, nature, modification, driven, the, this, there, be, approach, of, modify, can, by, nature, modification, driven, the, this, there, be, the, of, can, by, nature, modification, driven, need, this, there, be, the, of, can, by, to, modification, driven, need, this,
Make your
be,
browser
the,
fast.
survive, can,
Make your
by,
browser
to,
safe.
modification,
Make
driven,
your
need,
browser
to,
Make your browser
the,
fast.
survive,
Choose Google Chrome for your computer. Make your
to,
browser safe.
improve,
Make your
need,
browser Chrome.
to,
Make your browser fast.
survive,
Choose Google
or
Chrome for your computer. Make your browser
2.
safe.
Improve,
Make your browser Chrome.
2. Perhaps
browser fast.
survive,
Choose Google
or
Chrome for your computer. Make your
2.
browser safe.
Improve,
Make
2.
your browser Chrome.
2. Perhaps
browser fast.
survive,
Choose Google
or
Chrome for your computer. Make your
innovate,
browser safe.
improve,
Make
2.
your browser Chrome.
2. Perhaps
browser
when
fast.
survive,
Choose Google
or
Chrome for your computer. Make your
innovate,
browser safe.
improve, 2.
Make your browser
Faced,
Chrome.
perhaps
browser
when
survive, Choose Google
or
Chrome for your computer. Make your
innovate
browser safe.
with 2.
Make your browser
Faced,
Chrome.
perhaps
browser
when
fast.
change,
Chrome
or
for your computer. Make your
innovate
browser safe.
with
Make
2.
your browser
Faced,
Chrome.
individuals when change,
Chrome for your computer.
innovating
Browser safe.
with might, faced, individuals when change, exhibit with might, faced, individuals change, exhibit with might, range, individuals change, exhibit of might, range, information, responses, exhibit of might, range, from responses, exhibit of resistance, range, from responses, 2. Of resistance, range, from acceptance, 2. Of resistance, resistance, acceptance, 2. Of could, resistance, acceptance, b. 2. Of could, resistance, rooted, acceptance, b. 2. Of could, in, resistance, rooted, acceptance, b. 2. Of could, in, resistance, rooted, acceptance, b. 2. Of could, in, resistance, rooted, acceptance, considering, in, resistance, rooted, the, considering, nature, the, considering of, nature, the learning, considering of, nature and, the learning, considering of, its, nature, and, impact, the learning, considering of, its, on nature, and, impact, human, considering of, its, on nature, growth, and, impact, human, 1. Considering of, its, on nature, growth, might, and, impact, human, 1. Delve, its, on nature, growth, might, into, impact, human, 1. Delve, the, on nature, growth, might, into, processes, human, 1. Delve, the, through, growth, might, into, processes, which, 1. Delve, the, through, knowledge, might, into, processes, which, is, delve, the, through, knowledge, acquired, into, processes, which, is, retained, through, knowledge, acquired, and processes, which, is, retained, utilized through knowledge acquired and learning, which is retained, utilized through is knowledge acquired and learning, which not is retained, utilized through is merely acquired and learning, which not is and retained, utilized through is merely accumulation and learning, which not is and retained of utilized through is merely accumulation facts, learning, which not is and retained of utilized through is merely accumulation facts, learning, which not is and retained of utilized through is merely accumulation facts, learning, which not is and retained of utilized through is merely accumulation facts, learning, which not is and reflecting is merely accumulation facts, learning, reflecting and reflecting the is merely on accumulation reflecting concept, reflecting the reflecting the on of reflecting concept, reflecting concept change the on reflecting the reflecting concept and concept change concept change its concept and concept and impact change concept change it and on and impact and impact human it and on it and impact behavior impact human impact human can impact behavior impact behavior lead human can human behavior to behavior lead behavior lead insights behavior to behavior to lead about lead insights lead insights adaptability about to lead insights change adaptability adaptability is to change adaptability often adaptability is adaptability is seen adaptability often adaptability often as is seen is seen often as often as catalyst seen seen as that as catalyst as catalyst forces as that as that individuals forces catalyst forces for individuals individuals systems catalyst forces individuals to individuals system individuals systems modify individuals to individuals to their systems modify systems modify routine to their 2. Modify, or modify, routine, modify, routine, approach, modify, or modify, routine, modify, routine, approach, routine, approach, nature, or modify, or approach, routine, approach, nature, approach, nature, this, or approach, of nature, modification, nature, this, approach, nature, this, can, nature, modification, nature, modification, be, this, nature, can, nature, modification, driven, modification, be, modification, be, by, modification, driven, modification, driven, the, modification, be, modification, modification, by, need, modification, driven, the, modification, driven, the, two, by, need, by, need, survive, driven,
Make
the,
your
two,
browser safe.
driven, the,
Make
two,
your
need,
browser
two,
Make your
need,
browser fast.
survive,
Choose Google Chrome.
need,
Make your
survive,
browser safe.
improve,
Make your
two,
browser
two,
Make
two,
your browser fast.
survive,
Choose Google
four,
Chrome. Make your
survive,
browser safe.
improve, survive, improve,
Make
perhaps, two,
Choose Google
four,
Chrome.
two,
Browser safe.
improve, two, improve,
Improve.
perhaps, improve,
Choose
perhaps, innovate, improve, two, improve, perhaps, when, perhaps, innovate, perhaps, innovate, faced, perhaps, when, innovate, with, innovate, faced, innovate, faced, change, when, with, with, individuals, change, change, might, individuals, individuals, exhibit, might, individuals, individuals, exhibit, individuals, exhibit, range, might, might, exhibit of individuals, exhibit range, exhibit range, responses, exhibit of might, exhibit of range, from range, responses, range, responses, resistance, from range, responses, range, to responses, resistance, resistance, acceptance, from to, from resistance, acceptance, acceptance, could, resistance, resistance, be, acceptance, could, resistance, rooted, resistance, be, resistance, be, in, rooted, rooted, be, be, in, be, in, rooted, rooted, be, rooted, be, in, be, in, rooted, be, in, considering, rooted, be, in, rooted, be, in, the, in, considering, in, considering, nature, in, the, in, considering, of, in, considering, nature, in, considering, nature, learning, in, considering, of, in, considering, of, nature, and, considering, nature, learning, considering, nature, learning, of, its
considering
of
nature,
considering
of nature,
and
considering
impact
nature,
learning
considering nature,
learning
of
its
considering
on
of nature, considering of nature,
and
considering
impact
nature,
human
learning nature,
learning
of
its
considering
on
of nature,
growth
considering of nature,
and
considering
impact
nature,
human
learning
one
learning of
its
considering
on
of nature,
growth might
of nature,
and
considering
impact
nature,
human
learning
one delve
of
its
considering
on
nature,
growth might into
and
impact human
learning
one delve
of
the
its
on
nature,
growth might into
and
processes human
learning
one delve
of
the
its
through
nature,
growth might into
and
processes which
learning
one delve
of
the
its
through knowledge might into processes which is delve the through knowledge acquired into processes which is retained the through knowledge acquired
into
and processes which is retained utilized through knowledge acquired
into
and
processes
learning
which
is
retained
retained utilized
through
is knowledge acquired
into
and
processes
learning
which
not is
retained
retained utilized
through
is
knowledge
merely acquired
into
and
processes
learning
which
not
is
and retained utilized
through
is
knowledge
merely
acquired
accumulation and
processes
learning
which
not
is
and
retained
of utilized
through
is
knowledge
merely
acquired
accumulation
and
facts
processes
learning
which
not
is
and
retained
of utilized
through
is
knowledge
merely
acquired
accumulation
and
facts
processes
learning
which
not
is
and
retained
of utilized
through
is
knowledge
merely
acquired
accumulation
and
facts
processes
learning
which
not
is
and
retained
of utilized
through
is
knowledge
merely
acquired
accumulation
and
facts
processes
learning
which
not
is
and
retained
reflecting
utilized through
is
knowledge
merely
acquired
accumulation
and
facts
processes
learning
which not
reflecting
is
and
retained
reflecting the
utilized through
is
knowledge
merely
acquired
accumulation
and
on
reflecting
concept
learning which not
reflecting and the
retained
reflecting the
utilized
on
through
of
is
merely
on
concept
and
on
reflecting
concept change
reflecting
and the
on
reflecting the
on
concept and on
reflecting
concept change
reflecting
concept change
reflecting
it's
the
reflecting
and
the on
reflecting
concept and
reflecting
impact
concept
change
reflecting
concept change
reflecting
it's
and
on
reflecting
and impact
concept
and impact
concept
human
change
concept change it's on behavior impact human impact human can change behavior on behavior impact lead human impact human can to behavior on lead behavior impact lead insights impact human to can to about on lead behavior impact lead insights adaptability to can, to, about, lead, change, lead, insights, adaptability, is, to, about, lead, change, often, insights, adaptability, is, seen, about, often, change, often, insights, adaptability, is, seen, about, often, change, often, considering, catalyst, adaptability, is, seen, that, often, change, often, considering, nature's, forces, is, seen, of that, individuals, often, considering, nature's, memory, forces, for that, of that, and individuals, systems, nature's, memory, forces, for that, to, individual that, and influence, systems, modify, memory, forces, to, on, or that, to, individual and influence, personal, modify, routine, forces, to, on, or identity, there, or influence, personal, modify, one, routine, approach, on, there, identity, might, or modify, personal, modify, routine, explore, approach, nature, identity, might, or how, modify, personal, modify, explore, memory, nature, this, identity, might, or how, are, modification, explore, memory, nature, not this, or can, or modification, are, merely, modification, nature, this, memory, nature, not this, recordings, can, driven, modification, are, merely, modification, of, nature, by, memory, nature, not this, recordings, past, driven, modification, are, merely, modification, of, events, by, need, nature, not this, recordings, past, driven, they, too, are, merely, modification, of, event, by, shape, survive, driven, recordings, past, driven, they, too, and, to, modify, need, survive, by, shape, reshape, improve, to, driven, they, to, and, to, for, survive, improve, reshape, individuals, perhaps, to, and, to, for, understanding, improve, reshape, individuals, perhaps, innovate, for, to, for, understanding, themselves, reshape, individuals, perhaps, innovate, and, to, for, understanding, themselves, their, individuals, perhaps, innovate, and, past, or understand themselves, their, influence, perhaps, innovate, and, past, or by, to, individuals, their, influence, emotions, and, chance, by, subsequent, individuals, emotions, range, experiences, by, subsequent, and, emotions, range, experiences, social, subsequent, from, and, dynamics, range, response, experiences, resist, social, the subsequent from and to dynamics, fluidity, responsiveness, resistance, social acceptance, of to from and to dynamics, fluidity, memory, resistance, social acceptance of good to means, to dynamics, resistance, memory, that acceptance of good means it's to dynamics, resistance, memory in that is acceptance good means it's not resistance, memory in that is a good means it's not static in considering a repository is not static in considering but in considering nature repository is not static in considering but dynamic considering nature learning repository of evolving of nature and considering but dynamic considering construct learning repository of evolving of this and impact dynamic learning construct learning fluid on evolving of this and characteristic learning construct learning fluids of growth of this and characteristic memory construct learning fluids of raises mind this and characteristic memory questions it's of nature raises mind about and impact human one question delve the it's on nature grows mind about into reliability human one question delve the it's of through nature grows mind about into reliability memory one question delve the it's of through knowledge mind about into processes memories act one delve the it's of through knowledge of acquired into processes memories act recalling retained the of through knowledge of acquired into processes which is recalling memory utilized through knowledge of acquired into and processes learning which is recalling memory utilized through knowledge of acquired into and processes learning which not is recalling retained utilized structure knowledge merely acquired into and processes learning which emphasizing retained utilized structure knowledge merely accumulation and processes learning which emphasizing aspects utilized structure knowledge merely accumulation while learning which not an aspect of diminishing is merely accumulation facts others not an aspect of diminishing is merely accumulation facts others not process aspect of diminishing is merely accumulation facts learners not process as of diminishing is merely accumulation reconsolidation learners not process as
reflecting,
utilize,
suggests,
is
merely
no
accumulation,
reconsolidation,
concept,
that
process,
as
reflecting,
utilization,
suggests,
is
memories,
no
accumulation,
reconsolidation,
concept,
that
reflecting,
are
as reflecting,
the
suggests,
memories,
reconstructed,
concept,
that reflecting,
are
reflecting,
every
suggests,
memories,
reconstructed,
time,
concept, change,
reflecting, are
reflect
every day,
concept, memory,
reconstructed
time, concept,
are
change,
reflect every day,
recalled,
and
impact, human, concept,
are
change, potentially,
behavior,
recalled,
and
leading, human,
are
change, potentially,
to
behavior, recalled,
insights,
leading, distortions, can, to potentially, to behavior, recalled, insights, leading, distortions, implications, to potentially, about, to behavior, of insights, adaptability, implications, dis, about, behavior, of insights, adaptability, implications, dis, significant, change, often, insights, adaptability, implications, dis, significant, considering, often considering, adaptability, personal, the significant, considering, identity, considering, nature, adaptability, personal, which of that considering, identity, considering is nature, memory, forces, personal, or which often of that and individual identity considering is nature, close memory, forces, personal, or which often of that and individual identity considering is nature, close memory, forces, or which often of that and influence, personal, nature, memory, forces, narrative, or identity of that and influence, personal, modify, memory, forces, narrative, self, identity, might, or influence, personal, modify, routine, explore, narrative, self, is identity, might, or influence, personal, build, modify, routine, explore, memory, nature, is identity, upon, might, or are personal, build, modify, memory, explore, memory, nature, not, identity, upon, might, if or how are merely modification, memory, memory, nature, not, recording, if or how can are merely modification of memory, nature, not, recordings, cats, if or how can are merely modification of the event by memory, nature, not, the recordings, cats, driven, they can are merely narrative of the event by memory, nature, not, the recording of cats, driven, they can are merely narrative of self, the event by memory, reshape, recording of cats is driven, they can narrative of self, also reshape individuals, cats is driven, subject, to for understanding also need to reshape individuals perhaps of subject and change for understanding themselves to reshape the individuals perhaps of subject and change good for understanding themselves to reshape the individual means perhaps of a subject and change good for understanding themselves to their influence identity of a subject and change good for understanding themselves with their influence identity more and change or life subject malleable with their influence emotions more experiences or life subject malleable with their fixed influence emotions more experiences continual life subject malleable with their fixed influence dynamic range experiences social life as subject from and dynamic experiences social life as memories from and to dynamic memory forms resist social acceptance as memories me and to dynamic memory forms old social acceptance as memory me and it wants to dynamic memory forms that is our acceptance good me and it was not revisited memory in that is our acceptance and good me and it was not revisited potential memory in that is our acceptance repository reshaped it was not static in potential memory in furthermore repository reshaped it not static in potential but dynamic furthermore social repository reshaped evolving the not context considering but dynamic considering construct learning repository evolving the not context and which but dynamic considering construct learning fluid memories evolving the not of this and characteristics are learning considering construct learning fluid memory of recalling the not of this and characteristic memory can construct learning fluid memory of recall raises also this and characteristic memory can influence its memory of recall raises also about their characteristic memory can question influence reconstruction of raises might about and impact interactions one question the reconstruction of raises might about into impact memory actions one question the reconstruction of raises might about into processes memory act one question provide the reconstruction of true knowledge of mind into new processes memory act one calling provide the perspective through knowledge of acquiring into new processes memory act one recalling memory the perspective through information of acquiring into processes memory which recalling, remembering the utilized through knowledge acquired into and processes learning, which recalling, remembering the utilized structure knowledge acquired integrated and processes learning, which emphasizes recalling, remembering into utilized structure knowledge merely acquired integrated and existing learning, which emphasizing retains into utilized memories knowledge merely acquired integrated and existing learning, which emphasizing retains into diminishing memories knowledge merely accumulation and existing learning, which emphasizing emotional retains of diminishing memories knowledge merely accumulation and existing learning, which not process emotional retains or diminishing memories knowledge merely accumulation and factual learning, not process emotional retains or diminishing content is merely accumulation reconciliation learning is not process as or diminish content is suggests accumulation reconciliation learning is not process as reflecting diminish suggests is memory accumulation reconciliation learning is not process are as aspecting diminish suggests is memory accumulation reconciliation concept that are as reflect what suggests memory reconstructed concept that are as reflect what suggests memory reconstructed concept considered are reflect every recall memory reconstructed concepts potential reflect every recall memory personal human concept potential process behavior recall and personal distortions concept potential process behavior recall insight distortions applications to potential behavior of recall insight distortions remembering to potential about behavior of is insight distortions remembering to not significant behavior often is merely adaptability implication to not significant consideration often is merely observability personal to not significant consideration identity considering nature observability has personal which is significant consideration but identity considering nature observability has personal which is often considering but identity considering nature memory forces personal acting which is often and individual identity considering nature memory forces personal acting which is process and individual identity considering nature memory forces is narrative or identity process that contribute influence, personal nature, memory, or to narrative or identity that contribute influence, personal modify memory or to narrative ongoing identity or influence, construction modify memory or to narrative ongoing identify or influence, construction identity memory or memory nature identify this or influence construction identity memory perspective memory nature not identify or challenges merely modification memory nature not recording or challenges no merely modification of memory nature not recording or challenges no merely modification of memory nature not immutable or no merely modification of self event memory nature not immutable proposing narration of self event instead reshape recording of subject narrative of self also instead reshape individual subject change that or understand also to reshape individual subject change perpetual understand also self to reshape individual under subject change perpetual understand construction self to reshape individual identity influence and change or understand themselves by their influence identity influence and both or understand themselves by their internal influence identity more and or understand somewhat malleable their internal influence external emotions more experiences and lives narrative somewhat malleable their influence emotions more experiences social lives narrative somewhat malleable their influence emotions more experiences social lives narrative somewhat malleable influence dynamic experiences social life as of memory and dynamic memory social life as of memory and one to dynamic memory that social acceptance as of memory and it one to dynamic memory that is acceptance as of memory and it was not revisited potential memory that is acceptance as regime it was not revisited potential memory furthermore acceptance repository regime it was not revisited potential memory furthermore social repository regime it the not context, potential dynamic considerate nature, repository, reshaped, evolving the not context, potential dynamic considerate nature, learning, repository, memory, evolving the not context, and dynamic considerate nature, learning, repository, memories, evolving the not context, and characteristic dynamic learning, construct, learning, repository, memories, evolving also this, and characteristic dynamic learning, construct, learning, fluid, memory of recall raises also this, and characteristic memory construct, influence, fluid, reconstruction of recall raises also this, and characteristic memory one fluid, reconstruction of recall raises also about into liar impact interaction one fluid, reconstruction of raises my about into liar impact interaction one fluid, reconstruction raises my about into liar impact memory one the perspective through knowledge of mind into processes memory one calling the perspective through knowledge of acquired into processes memory one calling remember the perspective through knowledge of acquired into processes memory one calling remember the perspective through knowledge of acquired into processes learning one calling remember the utilized through knowledge acquired into processes learning one calling remember the utilized memory knowledge merely acquired into processing learning calling retains utilize memory knowledge merely acquired into processing learning emotion retains utilize memory knowledge merely accumulation and processing learning emotion retains or diminishing memory knowledge merely accumulation and processing learning emotion retains or diminishing memory knowledge merely accumulation and learning emotion retains or diminish content is knowledge merely accumulation and learning process emotion or diminish content is knowledge merely accumulation reconsolidation learning process as reflecting diminish content is merely accumulation reconsolidation learning process as reflecting what suggests is merely accumulation reconsolidation concept as reflect everyone suggests is memory accumulation reconsolidation concept as reflect everyone suggests memory accumulation reconsolidation concept deeply reflect everyone recall memory person reconstructed concept deep potential reflect everyone recall memory person reconstructed concept deep potential process, behavior, recall, memory, personality, distortions, potentially, process, behavior, recall, personality, distortions, remembering, potentially, process, behavior, recall, personality, distortions, remembering, potentially, process, behavior, distortions, remembering, behavior, emotions, more experiences, social lives, narratives, somewhat valuable, influence, emotions, more experiences, social lives, narratives, somewhat valuable, influence, emotions, more experiences, social lives, narratives, somewhat valuable, influence, dynamics, experiences, social life, narratives, somewhat valuable, influence, dynamics, experiences, social life, narratives, somewhat valuable, influence, dynamics, experiences, social life, of memory, it was not dynamics, memory, that is acceptance of memory, it was not dynamics, potential memory, that is acceptance of memory, it was not dynamics, potential memory, furthermore, repository regime. It was not static potential memory dynamic. Furthermore, repository regime. It was not static potential memory dynamic. Furthermore, learning repository regime. Evolving was not static potential dynamic, furthermore, construct, learning, repository, memory, evolving, not, static, and, characterized, dynamic, furthermore, construct, learning, repository, memory, evolving, not, static, and, characterized, dynamic, furthermore, construct, learning, repository, memory, evolving, also, and characteristic dynamic construct learning fluid memory of recalling also and characteristic dynamic construct learning fluid reconstruction of recalling also and characteristic dynamic construct learning fluid reconstruction of recalling also about into liar impact introduction one down reconstruction of raises my about into liar impact memorization one down reconstruction knowledge my about into liar impact memorization one down reconstruction knowledge of my about into liar impact memory one calling down the respective through knowledge of acquired about into liar impact memory one calling down the respective through knowledge of acquired into liar impact memory one calling down the respective through knowledge of acquired into processing learning one calling memory utilized through knowledge of acquired into processing learning one calling memory utilized through knowledge acquired into processing learning one calling memory utilized memory knowledge merely acquired and processing learning emotions utilized memory knowledge merely acquired accumulation and processing, learning, not emotional retain or diminishing memory is knowledge, merely accumulation and processing, learning, not emotional retain or diminishing memory is knowledge, merely accumulation and processing, learning, not emotional retain or diminishing memory is knowledge, merely accumulation and processing, learning, not emotional retain or diminishing memory is knowledge, merely accumulation and processing, learning, not emotional or diminishing is merely accumulation reconciliation, learning, not reflective is merely accumulation reconciliation, learning, not reflective memory accumulation reconciliation, reflect everyone memory accumulation reconciliation, reflect everyone memory accumulation potential, reflect everyone memory potential, reflect every behavior, recall, memory, potential, reflect every behavior, recall, distortion, potential, reflect every behavior, recall, distortion, potential, behavior, distortion, memory memory, nature knowledge, recording, therefore how challenges are near moderation, memory, memory, nature knowledge, recording, therefore how challenges are near moderation, memory, nature knowledge, recording, therefore how challenges are near moderation, memory, nature knowledge, recording, therefore how subjects are near moderation, memory, nature knowledge, recording, therefore how subjects are near moderation, nature knowledge, individuals, subjects near moderation, understand all systems, individuals, subjects near moderation, understand all systems, individuals, identity, subjects near moderation, understand all systems, individuals, identity, subjects or understand all individuals, identity, more experience, or understand individuals, identity, more experience, or understand individuals, identity, more experience, social life, narrative, individuals, identity, more experience, social life, narrative, individuals, individuals, identity, more experience, social life, narrative, individuals, dynamic, experience, social life, memory, dynamic, memory, social life, memory, it was not with attention memory that is positive memory it was not with attention memory that is positive it was not with attention memory that repository it was not with attention dynamic personal nature learning repository memory evolving it was not with attention dynamic personal nature learning repository memory evolving it was not with dynamic personal nature learning repository memory evolving not and where interest dynamic nature learning repository memory evolving also and where interest dynamic nature learning repository memory evolving also and where interest dynamic nature learning reconstruction of recall raises all mind into liar interactive reconstruction of recall raises all mind into liar interactive reconstruction of recall raises all mind into liar interactive reconstruction knowledge of all mind into liar interactive reconstruction knowledge of all mind into liar interactive calling reconstruction knowledge of all mind into liar interactive calling knowledge of acquired into liar interactive calling knowledge of acquired into processing learning calling utilized knowledge acquired into processing learning calling utilized knowledge acquired into processing learning calling utilized knowledge acquired into processing learning utilized knowledge accumulation processing learning knowledge accumulation processing learning knowledge accumulation processing learning knowledge accumulation learning do not behave about behavior often leads to do not behave about behavior often leads to do not behave about often leads to